To set up the lab for AddFront, go ahead and open up your repo, what we downloaded from GitHub. Open up a section there called Linked Lists, and inside you'll see a linked list skeleton. Go ahead and double tap that playground, bring it up, and this is where we're going to do the work for this lab on our linked list. And what we're going to do together, you and I, is we're going to go through and fill in these methods and really see at its core how linked lists work. I'm going to start with the killer feature of every linked list, this one here, AddFront. But first, let me show you how it works. Okay, so let's say we've got our linked list 1, 2, 3, and we want to add a new node onto the front, 4. How do we do it? First thing we would do is we would create a new node. Then we would point the new nodes next to the head. So this is our head. It points to 1. This is the very front of our linked list. And we're taking that new node and we're also pointing it to the head. In other words, 1 of the linked list. Then, watch this, we would take our head and instead of pointing it to 1, we would redirect it and point it to the new node. And that's it. This is kind of mind-blowing at first. All we're doing here is manipulating pointers. We're creating a new node, pointing it to the head, and then taking the head's pointer and pointing it to the new node. And when we do that, voila, we get a new node inserted at the front of our linked list. In code that would look like this. First, we would take in the data that's passed in and create our new node. Then we would take our new nodes.next and point it to head. And then here's where the magic happens. Head, we simply redirect that pointer to point to new node. And when we do that, voila, we get a new node at the front. Now to use this, let's go down here and instantiate this linked list we'd like to add a new node to. So let's create a linked list. And remember, this is our class now. So we're creating a linked list class. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add front. Now remember, we've got to work backwards to forwards. So the first node we're going to add is actually going to be that 3. We will add that to the front, kind of pushing it onto the list. Secondly, we can add our node 2, pushing it or adding it to the front. And then finally, we can add our node 1. Now you note here, I've got a slightly different print linked list function. This one is just like the print we saw before, only this one collects the results in an array and then prints out the array at the end. And it's just a little bit nicer. So if we go linked list.print linked list here and we run this with Shift Command Enter, we should see our output coming out really nicely here, 1, 2, 3. Now let's see what happens if we want to just add a 4th. So down here now, we can go linked list.addFront. Let's give it a 4. And if we do that and print out our linked list again, we should indeed see that we now have a 4 inserted at the front. Now let's just call out what's going on here and why this is so magical. This is the linked list killer feature. This ability to add to the front is constant time, O to the 1. This is the beautiful, mind-blowing speed of linked lists, and this is something arrays can't do. You can't add a new element to an array in constant time. It takes O to the n. So just remember, this is the killer feature of the linked list. This is one of the things that makes it so great, and this is why it's great at serving a certain class of problem. Whenever you need to add things quickly to the front, this is where the linked list really, really shines. So AddFront is killer, which is why the next thing you'll see in a lot of linked lists is a method called getFirst. Let's see how that one would work. When we want to get the first element of our linked list, really we're just checking for 2 things. First of all, is our linked list empty or nil? We can tell if a linked list is empty by looking at its head, seeing if it is equal to nil, and if it is, simply return nil. You'll note here I had to add an optional. This is going to be an optional int we return because a head can be nil. But if we do have data there and we know our head is not equal to nil, it's safe for us to come down here, use the bang, and simply return its data. That's how we get the very first element of our linked list. Because it's the front, that is also O to the 1, very, very quick. Next up, Let's see how we can add something to the back of our list using a function called add back.